we're talking about the proposed budget cuts. There are questions of whether they're necessary and why they're being proposed. Could you answer that for us?
Sure. When the Board of Education approved the college budget earlier this year, they did so with a $3.8 million hole that needed to be filled, with the instruction to administration to come back with a proposal to reduce the deficit, and that's what is being brought to the board this evening.
Okay. So there's been question of the rising enrollment
Correct.
and how that might have a positive or negative impact on how much money is available to faculty and programs, etc.
And we're very optimistic about the enrollment. The college, prior to the pandemic and then into the pandemic, suffered an enrollment decline of over 60%. And during the pandemic, we were encouraged in an effort to receive federal funds to maintain as many employees as possible. When those funds ran out, when the state legislature decided not to fund community colleges with one-time money to get us through this next 2-year transition phase, it left a hole for many colleges to fill. Lynn Benton Community College had to cut about 10% of its budget in the spring, and that's, we're addressing a similar hole right now. The proposal that's being brought to the board this evening represents about 4.4% of the college budget. Unfortunately, cutting 4.4% from the college budget's a tough thing to do when 84% of your budget is made up of personnel.
Are these cuts intended to disrupt negotiations with the LCC Education Federation?
With the Federation?
Yes.
No. The classified staff on campus are in the middle of negotiations right now. Next year, the faculty union will be negotiating. This unfortunately is something that is due primarily to the enrollment decline suffered from the pandemic. And while it's optimistic that we're seeing an enrollment increase right now, we're hoping this year that we might be up about 10 to 12%. We budgeted for 5. That means there might be a little extra revenue, but it doesn't come anywhere near what it would take to fill that $4 million hole that we're faced with.
Okay, and does the college plan to address concerns about the health classes and the French program and some of the counselors that will be?
I think there's been some confusions because the unions have said that we intend to eliminate the French program, which is not correct. We're eliminating some sections of the second-year French classes. We do not have enough students currently enrolled in the first-year French classes to justify what it would cost to maintain second-year classes. We do have agreements with other educational institutions for students to dual enroll, and if they're interested in taking those second-year classes, they'll have that opportunity. As far as health classes go, the proposal would not impact any of the health professions programs. The health classes that are impacted are taught by part-time instructors, and they're general education health classes. For many of the students that take them are not in health professions courses. It's an elective that they take to fulfill their degrees, and there's plenty of other options that will be available for them.
Okay. We also heard from a member of the Education Federation, and she mentioned
Counselors?
No. Oh, she mentioned the discrepancy between some of the pay packages for what are the members. She mentioned a discrepancy in pay packages for the classified staff compared to other staff employees, staff employee groups, and how the classified employees are underpaid and overworked compared to other employee groups on campus. Could you speak to that?
I would need to know a little bit more about what they're speaking to. Right now, the classified union is bargaining, so I'll leave that to the bargaining team to handle. The faculty union did settle a contract in the spring, which is something they could be referencing, but the college, one of the challenges that the college faces is that during the pandemic we spent down a good percentage of the college's ending fund balance, basically a rainy day fund. Because of that, Moody's, a credit agency, downgraded the college's credit a few months ago and basically said that it was up to the board to take action to ensure that further downgrades to the institution's credit would not happen. They specifically pointed out the college's policy, the board policy regarding an ending fund balance. We're supposed to have 10%, and that basically ensures that if emergencies come up, or if, say, we run into something like a pandemic, that there's some emergency funds to help balance the budget to get us through that period. And while we did have a sizable ending fund balance going into the pandemic, most of that was used up during the pandemic. So we're faced not only with a budget hole, but also building back that ending fund balance so that we can be prepared for the future.
Okay, great. Is there anything else that you want viewers to know about these budget cuts and the concerns that have been raised?
What's being proposed tonight is a package that we're asking the board to authorize administration to move forward with. The board will not be approving any position eliminations. In fact, what that does is actually allow the college to work with both unions on campus over the next 30 days to look at alternatives that they may propose. We're obviously bound by what the contract allows us to do, and there may be some other options that the unions could bring forward that would be alternatives to what's being proposed right now, and we look forward to taking the next month to have those negotiations if the board authorizes this to move forward tonight.